Hey guys, Trent at Black Horse Ranch here. We got a project looming. We got the tractor behind me. It's a John Deere 4430, and there's a few issues with it that we need to take care of, hopefully this spring before hay season. So it's been a couple weeks now, and the snow's starting to thaw, and I've been able to take the four-wheeler out in the field to feed the cows hay for the last 2 weeks without getting stuck. So I think it's about time to take the tractor out of commission and start fixing it. So I'll give you a quick tour of it and kind of point out some of the stuff that I know that's wrong with it. So here she is, the beast. It's a 1974 John Deere 4430. It has the hydraulic four-wheel drive, and it's got a 6-cylinder diesel engine. It's about 125 horsepower. And so I'll kind of take you around and show you the stuff that we need to do to it. I got a really good price on it, so I knew there was going to be a few things to fix, but overall it has pretty low hours. The main thing that we have to fix is this, there's a hydraulic leak internal, and so this is we're looking at the 3-point hitch here, and there's inside here, that's the hydraulic piston basically that raises and lowers the 3-point arms, and there's a plate that goes inside on the bottom of that. That's the rockshaft cover, they call it, and it's leaking out the edge of one of those. So basically all of the hydraulic oil that's supposed to return to the pump is just getting dumped back into the reservoir, which causes the hydraulic oil to heat, and then it causes the pump to cavitate because it doesn't have enough flow. So that was one thing I noticed when I checked out the tractor. When you raise the 3-point hitch, it shudders when it goes up, and it had a loader it came with, and the same with the loader. And anytime we use the post pounder or anything like that, all the hydraulics always shuddered, and so I had a guy come troubleshoot it, and that's the first thing to fix. And while I'm at it, these are the remote valves here, the SVCs they call them, or SCV I guess, the control valves for hydraulics for external. Those both leak pretty bad, and so I got all new O-rings and all kinds of stuff for those that I have to replace. So the big project is to basically take this whole metal cover and lift it off, and then I can go work on it on the bench in the shop. The other thing I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to add a Power Beyond block, which is basically a block that just taps into the hydraulics of the tractor. When I bought this tractor, the loader was connected into the remotes, these valves right here. And so 2 of them took up the raise and lower of the bucket arms, and then the other 2 were the bucket tilt, and so I couldn't use the hydraulics for anything, any other implements or anything. So once you disconnect those, there's nothing to keep the hydraulic oil from eventually leaking out, so there's no way to keep the bucket up in the air while I'm doing other chores if I decided to use these for something else. So I gotta get a Power Beyond block, and then another hydraulic valve block with a joystick attached so that I can operate the loader. Another thing is, well, we gotta go around the other side. There's a neutral position safety switch, and it keeps the tractor from starting if it senses that it's not in neutral. So down under here, you can see I've got that wire hanging there with electrical tape on it, and I basically just had to disconnect the neutral safety switch, and it's basically shorted out so that the tractor thinks that it's in neutral, because it wasn't allowing it to start. So at first it didn't have a problem, but as I've had the tractor, we've had it for 6 months now, it started to get worse and worse, so I had to short that out. But the neutral safety switch just has shims I should be able to just take some shims out and it should work again. So that's another thing we need to fix. Got a couple of minor leaks on it. This one kind of developed later on. It wasn't leaking when I bought it, but it's a common one. There's diesel that's kind of misting out somewhere there that I got to figure out. Nothing drips a whole lot. And then one of the other main things that the guy that did troubleshooting for my hydraulics, he showed me how to test the hydraulic four-wheel drive. So this tractor has the hydraulic four-wheel drive instead of having a mechanical axle. It basically has a hydraulic motor on each of the front hubs, and that's driven by the hydraulic system. So this has an extra large hydraulic pump on it. You can't see very well the light, but there's a couple of hydraulic lines that go up to the front here, but no actual drive shaft or differential or anything. But now that I know how to test it, it appears that that's not working either. And so I really did want a four-wheel drive tractor, and I've read, varying things about these. Most people don't like them. They're mostly an assist. They don't. They can be problematic. And the guy that diagnosed the hydraulic issue said that usually once they go bad, they can start spraying junk into the rest of the hydraulic system and cause other issues. So most people just decommission them once they come apart. He also said they start to leak around the hubs, which this was bone dry even when the guy was diagnosing the hydraulics several months after I got the tractor. And then after he told me about it, they started leaking. So both sides leak. So I'm not sure if that's something I'll be able to fix. Hopefully I can. But anyway, well, at least we have a tractor to start, to do our own stuff with. Another issue that developed since we've had the tractor, and I know this tractor has low hours, but most of the hours were put on years ago, and so this tractor is mostly sat for a long time. So this kind of stuff can happen where something sits for a long time. A lot of things can go wrong all at once. But up here's the power steering unit, and when I start it first thing in the morning, or the first time I start it for the day, when I turn the steering wheel all the way to the right, the front wheels turn very slowly to the right until they go all the way as far as they can, and then I can turn it all the way to the left, and that kind of resets the pump. It's all hydraulics, but that is a common problem on these, and so right now it's not a big issue. Once I do that at the beginning and get the wheels turned to the right and get all the the oil flowing through the hydraulic system, I don't have any issues with it. But I guess it can, you could be driving down the highway or something going pretty fast, and all of a sudden you'll lose your hydraulics for one side, and it'll shoot your wheels over to the other side of the, it'll shoot your wheels to the left or something. So potentially could be bad. We don't, for what we do here, we don't have to drive on the road, so it'd only be if I needed to, drive to help someone else out or something. But so that's something I gotta look into. Mostly just fiddly, not too bad of a fix. These are all common issues, and John Deere parts are pretty readily available. So let's take a look in the cab. So the cab's not too bad. Everything in here works pretty good. It's old, so there's a few issues. The gear shifters, this is a quad range. The gear shifters stick, and we got the throttle here. This is your reverse and forward gears, and then this is your range. So you have A, B, C, and D range, and then the hydraulic levers and 3-point. Everything else seems to work good in here, with the exception of up here. So this tractor does have heat and air conditioning, and the guy that had this, I was able to talk to the original owner, and it sounds like they never hooked up the air conditioner. So it has an air conditioner compressor. I guess you can see it's that black thing right there. There's no belt on it, and I'm guessing that it's probably frozen since this is a 74. But one of the guys that had this tractor, you know, decided to do some custom wiring jobs, some speakers. There's a light there that doesn't work. Another speaker on this side. And then, I don't know if you saw when I climbed up, but there's a bundle of wires right there. So they wired some auxiliary lights that have all been since ripped out. But so just a bunch of stuff that needs to get fixed there. I think the dash mostly works. The window weather stripping is really bad, so there's a whole chunk of it there that's missing. I would like to replace these latches on the window with some little pneumatic units. So the way these things work is they lift up, they push out, and then they just latch, and the window has like a rubber hinge at the top. So just if I use the same holes that those are hooked into, and then a little pneumatic, I might have to weld a little bracket onto there to put a little pneumatic arm on it. I'd like to do that, but there's no weather stripping on this back window, and that one over there's pretty messed up too. And really, that's just for dust control. But these window latches rattle something fierce if the windows aren't open, and even if they are open, they rattle pretty bad. So it'd be nice to have something a little more solid. So that's the 4430, and there's not a lot online. There's a few places online that have videos and information on how to do this stuff, but I've never worked on tractors before. I've done a fair bit of automotive stuff, but I've ordered all the parts to fix that hydraulic leak, but we'll go ahead and do videos of that, and hopefully I can get something out there that's a little better than what we have. So stay tuned and stick with us, and we'll try to get this thing done and fixed up for the spring.